Because we just love the groove. We think it's Harlem. We think it's this. But it's really a positive message in the whole song. Like,
well, let me just say this. See, like what was happening is so when I heard the bass line, I said, okay, this is coming from straight up. Okay. And then when I went to the change, then I said, oh, we're on to something. But you know, how could I know anything before there was even sampling, and hip hop was just, and rap was just getting off the ground in 81.
yeah.
There was no samples. There was no, you know, hip hop was just getting started. That's 81.
How many years was hip hop around when this record came out?
I would say 82. It came out. I was in Philadelphia when I recorded that. And we was getting, you know, some vibes that it was starting, like maybe in, I would say I was hearing some vibes like in 80, 81, about 80, you know, but
so around the same time, the birth of hip hop, you know, getting professional and making records and all that, that's when this record came out.
I would say that's accurate. Right on the cusp of it.
And what an amazing time, man. So you got this #1 hit at the same time that this art form, hip hop, is exploding. You going neck to neck, concurrent. And so you doing venues and you seeing other rappers, or the rappers wasn't able to do those venues yet?
I wasn't even performing. I was just producing at that time. I did that album for RCA. It was top 40 B, and RCA dropped the ball. I said, I'm out. I'll just start producing, and I'll just keep myself out of the limelight, as we talked earlier, right? As we talked earlier. So, you know, I felt that at that moment in time, it was something that was not really, it wasn't really given the right attention, and it could be timing also. You got to be fair. Timing is...
Kenny, it's a special time in my life, right? I just finished writing my book. And, you know, I was very ambitious, right? Growing up in the projects, I always wanted more. I think 50 Cent beat me to the slogan, but it was either get rich or die trying, right? And I knew I was crazy. I knew I was one of the wildest boys in the Bronx at the time, but I had to get to the bag. And I was very, very ambitious. And I never forget the first Benz I ever sat in was a guy named Scarface Steve. He had a scar here. He's still alive. He's out there. Pure energy, living legend. He went to jail for like 20 years, 30 years. But I sat in, he had a red wide body kit Benz with the gooseneck, the system. And I don't know if he timed it, but the second I sat in the chair, he picked me up from my projects, and I couldn't believe I was in the Benz. I wanted everybody to see me.
Right.
And he pressed play, and he played Dougie Fresh's version of Keep Rising to the Top. That is the first song I ever heard in any luxury car in my life.
Wow. 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 What a connection. The connection. You know, and you're bringing up 50, who is one of our beloved brothers out there, along with you. And he gave me the lowdown of how it affected his life and how it was a hustler's end, and that everybody used that for energy and for inspiration. And that's what was my reward, because that's really what I wrote it for. The lyrics, body with a pen trying to say something cute or trying to say something. That from my heart, my faith, my training, because, brother, you got to know, you look at a brother who was an FOI on 116th Street back in 1972.
Wow. So you was in the FOI in 72? Nation of Islam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wow. And then you turned into music. You know, it's funny, right? Because, you know, what I do in my off time, right? I sit here, you know, I just discovered on COVID, I see you way more computer savvy than me, but I discovered YouTube. So I get on my YouTube and I watch like Soul Train Awards, you know, the old school performances and all that. And I noticed, I seen a show today where some artists were singing like some like, let's not say raunchy, but let's say, you know, sexy, you know, thotty music.
Right.
And then I'm watching in the audience, Kirk Franklin made sure he wouldn't dance to that. Even though he knew it was the hottest shit. When they put the camera on him, he ain't dancing to it because, you know, he got to be church. He got to be this and this and that. So you coming from FOI today, what was it like you making music that, I mean, you had to rock this shit. You had to rock this at the Fever, at all the spots where all the drug dealers, all the hustlers is at, all the Harlem spots. I mean, what was like that for you making a record? Or to you, you telling me, yo, Joe, this is a godsend record?
Yes, yes. I was already in the business since I was 12. With my family, the Five Stair Steps. A song called Ooh, Child, Things Are Gonna Get Easier. So
that's how I started the show. I listened to your family's record all day today. They are fucking amazing. Amazing.
Thank you.
I listened to their music all day today, and I was like, damn. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't up on them. I knew the music, but I didn't know who they were. And so I knew I was having you on. I said, let me listen, and it's fucking amazing. This is the type of music you can hear all day. What was it like growing up? Because you guys were the original, like, Jackson 5, the original family group that exploded. I mean, tell me about that. Ooh, child, things are going to get easier.
Well, you know, we were blessed to have a mother and father who encouraged us. We were beating on fans. We're from the projects in Chicago. That's where we're in Chicago. So we came up humble, you know, just like everyone else, you know, and parents encouraged us to sing. So we won a talent show in Chicago at the Regal Theater, which is equivalent to the Apollo. Regal Theater.
I know the Regal.
Regal, right? And we won the show, and guess who we beat? Who was on the show also?
Who was on the show?
Jackson 5. The Jackson 5.
So they were on that show and y'all beat them out?
Wait, it wasn't even close. So here's how...
And did you know... Did you watch him perform, or you stood in the back and was like, all right, this is ours, we going?
So process of elimination, you know what I'm saying? So you don't know who went, you're not watching everybody. You come and do the thing when it's your turn. So I never saw them perform that night, but they were on the show. But here's the thing about the relationship. We were always like this, man. No competition. No kind of nothing going on. But father and their father, Joe Jackson, were friends, and we gave them a lot of where they became who they are. And if you, they would tell you, they looked up to us, followed. So those stories are real. Those stories, you know.
Yeah, I know y'all guys were signed to Curtis Records, Curtis Mayfield's records. Did you work with him hand in hand? How did you get signed? How did y'all get signed to Curtis Mayfield Records though? Like,
we won
one of the greatest.
Good question. We won the talent show in Chicago at the Regal. Our father was a detective in Chicago. Met Fred, who was one of the original Impressions. He came by our home, sang one of our hit songs, World of Fantasy. For all of our fans that are from that era, they will know that song, World of Fantasy. And Fred Cash heard 8 bars right in the book, and he stopped us. And he said, let me put in a call. And he Curtis. And then he ushered us off right to Curtis Mayfield's apartment in Chicago. Quick. So we sang for Curtis. And you got to remember, Curtis Mayfield for Chicagoans, equivalent of a Berry Gordy or a from the Detroit side, right? So there was no one bigger, Joe, in Chicago than Curtis. So can you
Nah,
imagine?
ain't nobody bigger. Dude, we talking about a motherfucking giant. We talking
Right.
about yeah. We talking about a GOAT. We talking about a Curtis Mayfield. We not talking about no. This is a big boy.
And we're children, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. This is who we look up to. So we went on, and Curtis had a style. He said, all right, baby, I think you're ready. We'll book the studio in 2 weeks. We walk into the Studio A at Universal Studios in Chicago. There's a 34-piece orchestra in there. So the orchestra, she said, oh, wow, who was that for? And he said, babies, that's for you. So when you're recording, that's 65. Everything is done. Yes. Ain't no overdubbing. Those songs from those days were recorded in 1 or 2 takes. Orchestra, rhythm section, vocal, all at the same time. So that was a heck of an experience to get into the industry that way. See it like,
you know, even me, I feel like we fake. Like me as a hip hop artist, and trust me, I know music. And I be feeling like we fake because back in the day, I tell Cool and Dre all the time, and Cool and Dre super talented, my brothers. But I tell them all the time, yo, we need like an orchestra. We need a whole band. I've never been able to work with like that. Like we always work with producers, sample beats, incredible. But I never had the opportunity to work in one of these. Like back in the day, you see Quincy Jones, they playing different instruments at the same time. I feel like that's the real music. That's where the soul comes from. And I've never been able to do that.
Well, if I may say something, the first statement about maybe not having the authenticity. I had a good friend, his name is Preston Middleton. He's from Houston, and he worked with Teddy and Guy back in their day. To get into how things were crafted with them. Okay, I wanted to learn. So I had an MPC-6, and he began to show how beats and the little snippets and samples work. So let me be the first to say this, my brother. There's take about a black man or a black woman when it comes to dating. Because I'll dare anybody to play an